A rainy night does something to the mind. It fills the quiet with shapes. For the next stories, you'll hear 3 strange encounters. Not all of them are real, but none of them are harmless. My father grew up in a place where quiet never felt safe. It felt exposed, like there was nothing to hide behind. The land went on for miles, open fields broken only by lone farmhouses. Each property had a single home, surrounded by darkness once the sun went down. The closest neighbor was never close, sometimes more than a kilometer away. Out there, people weren't simply neighbors. Families were connected. Stories were shared. Everyone knew where everyone came from. My father lived near a man named Michael Aaron Collins. They were related somewhere deep in the family tree, but more than that, they trusted each other. They spent a lot of time drinking together. But for Michael, drinking wasn't a habit. It was his entire life. He was younger than my father, yet alcohol dictated everything he did. Seeing him sober was rare. Over time, even his own family stopped trying to help. When Michael didn't come home for a night, nobody worried. That was normal for him. Until one night. He never returned. At first, no one reacted. Then a day passed. Then another. That's when people began to search. Michael was eventually found in a canal beside the highway. The condition of his body said enough. Heavy damage. Severe decomposition. The assumption was that a vehicle had struck him and sent him off the road into the water. He had been there for several days. Before anyone noticed, it was officially ruled an accident. Life continued. At least, on the surface. Months before Michael died, he and my father had bought identical shirts together. They were expensive, saved for special occasions, celebrations, gatherings. One shirt for Michael, one for my father. Late one autumn night, my father had been visiting neighbors for a small celebration. Nothing unusual, just food, drinks, conversation. That evening, rain had started to fall, and didn't stop. When it was time to leave, my father began the walk back home. Several kilometers of open farmland separated him from his house. There were no streetlights, no nearby homes, only rain, wind, and faint moonlight barely breaking through thick clouds. He had walked those paths his entire life. There was nothing about it that should have frightened him. Halfway home, he reached a narrow bridge crossing a canal at a quiet rural junction. As he stepped onto the bridge, something broke through the sound of rain. A laugh. Soft, low, disturbingly familiar. He stopped and turned. Standing near the bridge was Michael Aaron Collins. Not a silhouette, not a trick of light. He was there, motionless, soaked, staring directly at my father. Then he spoke. "Oh, so you're still wearing our shirt." My father didn't think. He ran. He ran through the fields for kilometers, lungs burning, legs trembling. He never looked back. When he finally reached home, he was drenched, shaking, barely able to breathe. Our family rushed toward him, asking what had happened. He didn't answer. Instead, He tore the shirt off his body, took it outside, and set it on fire, while the rain poured down. Only after the fabric was burning did he tell us what he had seen on the bridge. But that wasn't where it ended. In the weeks that followed, other members of Michael's family claimed they saw him too, always in the same place, that same bridge, on rainy autumn nights. After that, no one stopped there anymore. Because some places don't let go of the people who die suddenly. And sometimes they remember what used to belong to them. I live in Springfield. It's quiet most nights. Predictable. Safe. That night wasn't supposed to be different. I had just finished a 12-hour shift at work when my phone rang. It was my mother. My grandmother had collapsed earlier that evening. They took her to a hospital in North Adams, almost 2 hours away. There was no question whether I would go. I grabbed my keys, didn't even change out of my work clothes, and left as the sky was already darkening. At first, the drive was normal. Just wet pavement and distant thunder. But once I turned onto Route 2, the rain came down hard. Not a drizzle, not a storm, a wall of water. The farther west I drove, the worse it became. Trees closed in on both sides of the road, their branches bending violently in the wind. This stretch runs straight through the Mohawk Trail State Forest. Locals avoid it at night entirely. They say the forest swallows sound. My windshield wipers were struggling. Visibility dropped to almost nothing. I was exhausted. My hands ached from gripping the steering wheel. My eyes burned. When I reached a narrow pull-off surrounded by trees, I made a decision I immediately regretted, but didn't feel safe enough to keep driving. I pulled over, turned off the engine, left the headlights on. The rain hammered the roof of my car like thousands of fingers tapping at once. No signal, no radio, just darkness and the sound of rain. For a moment, I rested my forehead against the steering wheel and closed my eyes. That's when I saw it. Something moved through the headlights. Fast, low to the ground. I lifted my head instantly, heart racing, trying to focus through the rain-smeared glass. Nothing. Deer, I whispered to myself. Or maybe a raccoon. I told myself that's all it was. A few minutes passed. Then it happened again. This time closer. And then a sharp scratching sound scraped along the passenger side door. I froze. My first thought was branches. The wind was strong. Trees were close. But the sound wasn't random. It was deliberate. Slow. Controlled. Another scratch followed. Longer this time. Trailing from the door toward the back of the car. My chest tightened. I leaned forward, straining to see through the rain, when a shape appeared in my rear window. A silhouette. Too tall to be an animal. Too thin. its outline distorted by water, but unmistakably upright. Standing inches from my trunk, I couldn't tell if it was facing me, but I felt like it was. The scratching started again, this time directly behind me. Long nails, or something like them, dragging across metal. I reached for the key and tried to start the engine. Nothing. The dashboard lights flickered. The scratching grew louder, more frantic, as if whatever it was realized, I was trying to leave. I tried again. The engine sputtered. The sound moved, circling the car, staying just out of my direct view. Then something struck the rear bumper. Hard. I screamed. On the third attempt, the engine finally roared to life. I didn't look back. I slammed the accelerator and sped onto the road, tires skidding on wet pavement as the forest blurred past me. The rain began to fade. The trees thinned. Streetlights appeared. By the time I reached North Adams, the storm was gone, as if it had never existed. At the hospital parking lot, under bright fluorescent lights, I finally stepped out of the car. That's when I saw them. Deep scratches along the passenger door. Across the trunk, too evenly spaced. Too deep. Not branches, and not animal claws. I never stopped on that road again. And sometimes, when rain hits my windows at night, I swear I still hear something. I'm not telling this story because I experienced it myself. I'm telling it because, years later, I can still hear the way my friend's voice changed when she talked about it. Her name is Emily. We met in college, and one night, while talking about childhood memories, she told me this story. She laughed, at first the nervous kind of laugh, and then went quiet. She said she hadn't thought about it in years. Emily grew up in a small town in western Pennsylvania, surrounded by forests that seemed endless. When she was about 16, she and 4 of her friends decided to go on what they called a mini camping trip. Nothing extreme, just a hike into the woods, a place to hang out, maybe build a fire, and feel grown up for a night. There was Emily, her best friend Sarah, a quiet girl named Lena, and 2 guys, Mark and Josh. They packed light, backpacks, snacks, a cheap tent, flashlights, and 1 shared phone for music. The forecast promised clear skies, but Emily said that about an hour into the hike, the forest started to feel different. The sunlight dimmed as thick clouds rolled in overhead. The air got heavy. The wind picked up, rustling the trees in a way that didn't feel normal, not playful, not calming. Then the rain started. At first, it was light, just enough to be annoying. But within minutes, it turned into a downpour. They were soaked. Their clothes clung to them. The dirt paths turned into slick, muddy streams beneath their feet. They realized quickly how unprepared they were. Phones went into pockets. Flashlights flickered. Panic crept in quietly. No one said it out loud, but everyone felt it. That's when Mark stopped walking. He pointed through the trees. About 30 yards ahead, barely visible through the rain, was a small wooden cabin. It looked old, weather-beaten, the kind of structure you'd expect a park ranger or forest caretaker to use decades ago. They didn't debate it. They ran. The porch creaked under their weight. The windows were dark, and when Mark reached for the door handle, it opened. Unlocked. Inside, the cabin was shockingly clean. Not abandoned. There was a wooden table in the center of the main room, smooth and dust-free. 2 mismatched chairs pushed neatly underneath it. A single lantern hung from a hook on the ceiling. Along the walls were shelves empty, except for a folded blanket and a stack of yellowed notebooks. No mold, no cobwebs, no signs of animals. Just quiet. Too quiet. As they caught their breath, Emily noticed something that made her skin crawl. A second room. Sarah stepped inside first. The walls were covered in photographs. Dozens of them. Children. Boys and girls of different ages, maybe 8 to 17. Every single one of them wore scout uniforms. Some smiled, some didn't. The photos were dated. Years apart. Decades, even. That's when Lena spoke up. She told them about a local story her older brother used to talk about. A series of missing children cases from nearby towns. Hikers, scouts, kids who went into the woods and never came back. No bodies, no answers. The room suddenly felt smaller. The air felt wrong. And then the rain outside began to slow. Almost stop. That's when they heard it. A crack. The unmistakable sound of a branch snapping under someone's weight. Josh froze. No one spoke. Slowly, they moved to the window. Standing among the trees was a figure. Tall, still, wearing a dark raincoat. They couldn't see his face. The hood was pulled low, but they could see one thing clearly. The orange glow of a lit cigarette. He didn't move. He didn't wave. He just stood there, watching the cabin, watching them. Emily said her heart was pounding so hard she thought it would give them away. Then, as suddenly as he appeared, the figure stepped backward and vanished into the trees. They didn't wait. They ran. Emily told me she doesn't remember how they found their way back to the trail, or how long it took, or who screamed first. She just remembers running, and the feeling that the forest was listening. They never told the police, never told their parents. They convinced themselves it was just an old caretaker, a coincidence, a bad storm. But Emily never went camping again. She avoids forests, avoids hiking trails, and every time she smells cigarette smoke in the rain, she remembers that cabin and wonders how many of those children once thought they were just going on a harmless trip into the woods. If you enjoyed these stories, like the video and subscribe. New creepy encounters are already waiting. See you in the next one.